a lot of people, if they could corner this guest in the elevator, they would have many questions.
Yeah, that's
They would
for
say,
sure.
where, when, how come, what, why, I
Yeah.
need my shot.
Yeah.
I want to get on with my life, and I
Ex-
can't do anything until I get my shot. Amanda McKinney, how and when and where can I
You
get my
got
shot?
that,
And
yeah.
she would say, what?
I would say we're ready. We're just waiting for Jay Inslee to send us the vaccine.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
What do we
Yeah.
know about the federal distribution to states? I mean, we hear Biden out there talking about, we're buying another couple $100 million and all that stuff. I see the governor's smiling face in the newspaper today saying more vaccines on the way. Have you guys received notice about more coming towards Yakima County when other counties around us seem to have some?
No, sir. We are still waiting, and the issue, of course, is that because of the design of this entire program from the beginning of COVID, which is Jay Inslee wants to run the show himself, and he hasn't involved local leadership. And local leadership doesn't just mean elected; it means our health district, it means our hospitals, and so they decided to just bypass everybody on the ground level. But who do you need to make things happen on the ground level? You need the local people, the people of the partnerships, the people who know where to get the lamps and where to get the clipboards and the heating machines and the tents and all of these things. The people, those are the relationships that make things happen every day in rural America. Wow. And he's decided to cut everybody out. So what we did yesterday, when we saw what was going on, we said, okay, we had plans for a mass vaccination site, but of course didn't seem prudent to do much about it because we knew from the governor's office we weren't going to expect mass quantities of vaccine. But then when he announced he was going to go ahead and set up sites across the state and not here, we said, all right, well, we're going to give you no excuse not to give it to us. So we did a press conference, and we've got everything set. We've got the people, we've got the tents, the heaters, we've got we've got everything that we need. If you sent us that vaccine, we can start mass vaccinating Yakima County for those people who wish to have it. So we're waiting on him, but we want to send a message. It's not us, it's you.
So in other words, you guys were seeing what they were doing in Spokane, Ridgeway, Wenatchee, and he really wasn't going to set up one here in Yakima?
We got no indication that he was going to do that. Well, I will tell you, the 4 sites that he set up statewide, they also didn't know. I actually was on a call with Benton Franklin Fire Chief when he was on an emergency call finding out that, hey, you're going to be a mass vaccination site and you need to get this going ASAP, start tomorrow. And I mean, just poor communication, and that's been the whole theme of all of it is that, trying to hold this magic gem inside of our hands, not to let anybody know what's going on. And that's not how, in a vacuum, rarely do good things happen. And we're seeing that. But, we're also not going to sit around and whine about it. If it takes us proving to everyone over there in the governor's mansion and the State Department of Health that we're qualified and capable to get it done, we're doing it, and we have. So send us a vaccine.
Right on. So how will this work? You'll have an appointment process, I suppose?
Yes, sir. So we're going to utilize great online. You'll be able to set up your appointment online. And this is truly to take away the confusion. I mean, right now, again, you've got state who signed agreements with partners all over the state and in Yakima County. We don't know who they even signed partner agreements with. We get voluntarily noticed by, Tieton Drugs is called and said they just received 50 vaccines. And we say, wow, great, that would have been nice to know so we can help coordinate it.
Yeah.
So the idea is that, the health district website is dependent upon, the information they put up there is dependent upon those partners with the state voluntarily notifying us, hopefully in as much real time as possible, how many vaccines they have, what's their process, where do you call, how do you sign up. And so that involves humans. So the more human interaction and time, so you can imagine health districts trying to talk to all these different partners in real time to update the vaccines they have and how quickly they've gone out the door. So we need centralized vaccine distribution, and we need to take away the confusion. And so a mass vaccine site is exceptional for that. It makes it very clear. We chose the fairgrounds for a reason. Everybody already knows it's the testing site, so you'll have 2 lanes. One way for testing, the other way for vaccines. Get them in and get them out.
Sounds really good. Will, when we get to the level that we are operating that, is that going to be another one of those by appointment kind of things, or will people be able to just stream in?
They'll be both. They're wanting to set up appointments, and as they work the system, that obviously they're going to be flexible. knowing that if the system doesn't work or if you show up, they'll work with you to fit it in. But initially, they're going to emphasize the need for setting up appointments. As you can imagine, we don't want everyone showing up at the same time, like what happened at the hospital when word of mouth got out that they had vaccines, which, again, came to a surprise to everybody else. And we need to avoid that because it doesn't make anybody look good.
Gotcha. All right.
All right. Well, so you're ready. Just got to wait for the vaccine. Hopefully, you'll have enough to vaccinate up to 500 people a day once this thing is up and running.
That is the goal. What makes it a mass site is at least 500.
Okay.
And I will say that you've got to get at least a week's worth. So we're talking about needing to have a stockpile of several thousand vaccines before they feel confident that we can open it, so that it's not stop start.
And the way I guess I'm trying to figure out how the appointment would work. So in other words, you might get 100 people coming in at 1:00. And then 100, and then you're right, and then so you're going to have 100 people maybe lining up at 1:00, and then everybody in that group goes, or do you even know how that will work?
They're going to have different lanes, they'll have different appointments. It's very, if you've ever had a COVID test, it's very similar. I've had to have it through travel, and you set up they have so many slots for so many time periods, and you show up and you go where you're supposed to go and park in your lane. They come out. There will be parking spots that will be numbered for observation. So the one difference, testing, you're in, you're out. For the vaccine, they're required to have you monitored for between 15 minutes and 30 minutes, depending upon whether or not you have any pre-existing conditions or certain medication. So there will be a little hold time. So you'll get your vaccine, and you'll sit there and wait, and then they'll ask you how you're feeling. And if you're feeling good, then you're good to go. You're on your way. The other thing is you'll get your vaccination card. Because we have to remember, you have to have 2 doses of this thing.
Right.
All of them require 2 doses, and so they'll be working with you, and you'll know the time frame in which you're supposed to reschedule that second dose.
Excellent.
And last question from me, Amanda. Is the second dose the exact same material as the first? So like I could come in and Lance could come in. I'm coming in for my second. He's getting his first. Is it from the same batch of stuff, or is it like a different formula?
It is the same stuff.
Okay.
The way I understand it is that the second dose is just to increase the efficacy. So the idea is that you get 1 dose, that maybe makes you, a certain percentage, immune to the virus, and then that second dose is what gets you over that 90, whatever they're quoting, 93 to 96%, I think, in some cases higher.
Gotcha.
And there's a third vaccine, and that's another thing to talk about, final stages for Johnson & Johnson. So they're expected to get approval to start manufacturing next month, potentially.
Maybe a one-shot vaccine. Maybe a one-shot vaccine, right?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah,
well,
that's
the difference, of course, too, is the Moderna doesn't have to have the same level of cold storage than the Pfizer. So that's also great, and that's why we'll probably see more of that rural counties, because the idea is that it's easier to transport and keep it in places that don't have ultimate cold storage.